Here are three things that will need to happen, three things that need to be talked about if the Colts are going to be better than you think in 2023. So, a lot of turnover. We are expected to have our quarterback for, quite a while. He may only be here for 2 or 3 years. We have a new head coach. We don't have a new defense coordinator, but we have lots of new faces on the offensive side of coaching, the staff, that kind of stuff. But these past 2 years, we have continuously told ourselves that this Colts team, very talented and a very good football team. And yeah, when we had Carson Wentz, we had the most Pro Bowlers. That Carson Wentz year, we had the most Pro Bowlers in the league. And, but the team just wasn't cohesive. Like, something just wasn't right. Yeah, you could have great individual performances all season long, but at the end of the day, it takes a team effort. And it kind of seemed like Frank Reich kind of lost the team at some point in that season. And no one was holding each other accountable. And I think Carson Wentz amplified that. And it carried into this season, which, starting with the tie against Houston was not a great start, and it showed. And then you got killed by Jacksonville again. It's just this team showed absolutely no fight. They didn't want to play for Frank Reich. And I think that was a big part of, the way this team thought, was thinking and played last year, especially as well. Now you have a lot of turnover. You have a brand new head coach. You think you have your quarterback for quite some time now, your franchise guy. He's at least going to be here 2 to 3 years. It's better than 40-year-old quarterbacks being here 1 year or a weird year by Carson Wentz. Richardson, the sky's the limit. Great physical attributes, great traits. There's a lot to like. But there's a lot that he needs to work on. There's a lot of questions that need to be asked and answered. So with the new head coach, with the new voice, a new leader, hopefully this team could build on that. And we'll talk about that more in a couple minutes. But first I want to talk about, the number one thing everyone's asking themselves, whether it's Colts fans or not. How ready will Anthony Richardson be week 1? How fast will he develop? How long will it take him to become a dynamic passer? And, he's not very experienced. I know you guys have heard a million times you don't want to talk about his, you don't want to keep hearing about his inexperience. So now you need to think about how long does he have? How long is it going to take him? He probably has 2 to 3 years. I think 2 to 3 years is fair. Now, sometimes quarterbacks bloom after that, but very rarely. I think 3 years is more than enough. 4, if you want to take that chance, you have the 5th round option on him as well. So, but the thing that's going to buy him time, and I'm happy for this, is if he didn't have the athletic ability in terms of getting on the pocket, his elusiveness, just his ability to run and be a dual threat quarterback, that buys him time. Like Justin Fields. He was not a very good passer last year, but he's an incredible runner, and that's what is giving him more time to be able to learn the game mentally, to be able to learn how to process defenses. And it's going to be the same situation with Anthony Richardson. He's probably going to have a rough season. Now, I think that this Colts team is going to come out hot to start the season. So it may sound weird, but I think they're going to come out being a good football team. But once teams get the tape and the film from the Anthony Richardson, the Shane Steichen offense, that kind of stuff, I think it's going to slow down. And on top of that, the Colts have an all right defense. It's not as good as you think it is. They have some holes. Last year wasn't great in terms of pass rush win rate, that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, Anthony Richardson is going to be able to buy time with his legs in terms of how long he has to develop, because he's going to have to learn and experience these defenses. There's no time for him to sit and look at a clipboard. Meanwhile, he's only had 13 starts in college. He needs to go out there. He needs experience. He needs to play now. There's no time to waste. Yeah, he has a 5th-year option and all that, but you think Jim Irsay is going to be okay with, hey, no. Do you think Jim Irsay is going to be okay with trotting out Gardner Minshew week 1? No. You drafted Anthony Richardson. Jim Irsay is impatient. The fan base is impatient. Gardner Minshew isn't trotting out there week 1. It's not happening. If it does, whatever. But it's not. Let's just say there's a 99.99% chance he doesn't go out there week 1. He shouldn't. He shouldn't. Absolutely not. So that's the Anthony Richardson situation. We know about that. You know, you've heard about that a million times. So I'm not going to spend too much more time on this. But the next one we have is, how will Shane Steichen change, not necessarily the way this team plays, but the way they think and, you know, just mentally. It seems like he's coming in and he's establishing a strong culture with good beliefs, strong morals, but we need to see if the team is going to hold each other accountable. And that was a problem under Frank Reich. No one was held accountable. He was like, oh, okay, get it next time. No, it's okay, improve on that. He just didn't hold the players accountable. And the players didn't hold each other and themselves accountable. And it was evident. There were players that were inconsistent every week, discipline issues every single week. That was always an issue with Frank Reich. And Frank Reich always seemed to try to overthink things and attack the strength of defenses instead of going after what, the jugular, what's weak, what you should be targeting. That was another big issue with Frank Reich. And he didn't have a backbone. And, he's a great person, great human being. Coach, he's not it. He doesn't have it. And we saw, once you lose a locker room like he did at the end of that Carson Wentz year, you lost 2 interim head coaches 2 weeks in a row, and, you had like a 97% chance to make the playoffs, 99, something along the line. All you had to do was beat the Raiders or the Jaguars. 2 football teams with interim head coaches. You beat neither. And then the last week you just got killed. Ever since then, the team was never behind Frank Reich. Again, they never were. Never were. And it was evident because the next year, you start out the year tying with Houston. You got killed by Jacksonville once again. It just seemed like the Colts and these players just did not. Yeah, they cared, but they didn't hold themselves accountable, and they just didn't have any extra motivation to go and take them down. Now, I'm not saying all the players like this. No, some players were fine. They played fine. But, you never know. As, he seems like he's he's going to be a great head coach. He had a few very nice years in Philadelphia. And it's very promising to see what he has done with quarterbacks, young quarterbacks and their development. Helping Justin Herbert become the offensive rookie of the year. Helping Jalen Hurts become an MVP candidate and ultimately cashing in and getting a huge contract. But you never know. We saw the Nathaniel Hackett situation last year. Now, that's a very extreme side of the spectrum of a situation that, it's not always that bad. It seems like Shane Steichen has a bit more fire, and, in the interview, he was tearing up a bit. And he showed his passion there. And I like that. Frank Reich never did that. He never showed emotion on the sideline. He just never showed passion and never seemed like to get excited and go take care of the players on the sideline. Go ask them, maybe pat them on the shoulder, hey, you're doing this, try to do this, try to do better on this. And, just holding players accountable, being there for your players, and, ultimately being a leader. He just wasn't that, and he didn't show it. But all we know is, sometimes coaches go from being a solid offensive coordinator to a head coach, and it just doesn't work out. It doesn't work. But I have my hopes high. I hope that Shane Steichen is going to be a good head coach, and I think he will be. Seems like he's building a great relationship with the players, quarterback and Anthony Richardson. He's putting together some strong morals, strong values, building that strong culture that Chris Ballard always preaches about. And hopefully it's not a Nathaniel Hackett situation or anything like that. So then you have, it really doesn't matter what we say or think until we see it on the field in live action. These past 2 years is a prime example of that. We're saying, oh, this team is very strong. They're a great team. Talent all over. They did have talent. And I thought they were good on paper. Never put it together. So you cannot really say this for sure. He's going to be a good head coach. He's going to be this. He's going to be that. It's fun to talk about as content creators. That's our job, to talk about these scenarios and what could or may happen, what we hope might happen, what we hope doesn't happen. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter until we see what happens when they get on that field and they're playing another team on television. It doesn't matter until they're playing an actual football game against another team. Yeah, practices mean something, training camp means something, but nothing is like the environment of those live games. Nothing. You can't replicate it in any setting except for that moment in the games. So we really don't know until we see it. But from what we have seen from Shane Steichen, how he has talked, how he has just carried himself, it seems we're heading in a better direction in terms of a leader with the head coach. Last but not least, this one may not be one that you may be excited for me to talk about. You may be like, no, we have a great defense. No, I don't think so. Gus Bradley's cover 3 system is very predictable, above average, average and above average quarterbacks pick it apart. They always get these little stick routes open. It's very predictable. And we seen it last year. It struggled in big moments. It struggled at times. In the beginning of the year, it seemed good and it still had its issues, it doesn't help that the offense was so horrible. But at the end of the day, you have to take you have to hold them accountable. Even though the offense was horrible, didn't help them, barely got first downs, they were so tired all the time. Thing is, the defense is still so damn predictable. Then you have to worry about health. Is Darius Leonard going to be healthy? Is he going to be starting week 1? This is a very crappy situation with Darius Leonard. Shaquille Leonard. I love him as a player and who he is, but he's had multiple back surgeries, in under a year, and you just signed him to a big contract, $20 million a year. It's scary. He's a great player. And he's one of those, and I've said this a lot, but he's one of those players, it's rare to justify paying a linebacker premium position money. But he causes so many turnovers, the way he conducts himself, he carries himself, the impact he makes in the locker room and on the field, I think it's worth the money. But these injuries make it not worth it. And 2 back surgeries? 2! Remember with T.Y. Hilton? They downplayed the neck surgery and stuff, right? And even with Andrew Luck, it seems like they downplayed the shoulder stuff. And now, with Darius Leonard, really another face of your franchise, your organization, your city, you're downplaying it again. I apologize for my language, but I'm not going to curse now. It's a freaking 2 back surgeries with the 1 year. That's serious stuff, whether you say it is or not. Like a neck surgery, they said, T.Y. Hilton's neck surgery is mild. It's not that bad. It'll be fine. It doesn't matter. You cannot downplay, a neck, the spinal cord, the back. You cannot downplay anything like that. All that stuff is up here. It's severe. It's serious. And one wrong hit, we saw it Ryan Shazier. One wrong angle. One hit. And you could be paralyzed. You may never walk again. Already having 2 back surgeries, that's scary. These players, the reality of the situation is, I think Darius Leonard should retire. I hate, throwing something out there like that. I don't try to speak for anyone. I love Darius Leonard. Love the guy. Great human being. He's a phenomenal athlete, a phenomenal football player. Shaquille Leonard, I apologize. But you have to think about football as, once you hit 30, you're considered old, and you're considered basically have to be, everyone will say you're washed. And it doesn't matter what people say, it matters what you put on the field. But once you hit 30, you're considered old for football. You have 40, 50 more years to go. I love Shaquille Leonard. But at the end of the day, health is most important. And now I'm sorry to go on a little bit of a rant with Shaq there, with Shaquille Leonard and stuff, but it's just my opinion. You know, I love him. And I just hope he doesn't really sustain an injury that's going to impact him negatively throughout his entire life. Just like Tyreek Hill said, you know, there's a life after football. Life is nowhere near over or close to the end after football. You're still going to have kids to raise, a life to live with, you know, your special someone, or, you still have your family, everything, you know what I'm saying? Friends. But let's move on from that. I apologize for that rant, but what do you guys think about that? You know, do you think I'm kind of wild for saying that Shaquille Leonard should hang up the cleats already? I know we just paid him. I'm putting that aside, man. And yeah, you know, it's a business standpoint. You know, he retires. Well, that sucks. It's horrible. That was a bad decision. But, you know, for the team, you know, you can't really. I think they gave him the contract during his back problems too. It's really confusing. I also think I should just make a video on this. I'm going to stop talking about this. I'm just going to make a video on it because I don't want to get off topic too much. So defense, right? Isn't that as impressive as we think? It's really not. The secondary is wildly inexperienced. Julius Brents, Darius Rush, two young quarterbacks that can turn into solid cornerbacks. Maybe this defense has top 15 potential. You may not like that, but you did lose Bobby Okereke. You have Ty Franklin, who's pretty good linebacker. EJ Speed, pretty good guys. And if Leonard doesn't play, it's all of a sudden like even worse. And I understand why you don't pay Bobby Okereke. You're already paying a lot of money to your linebackers. You don't want to pay $30 a year to linebackers. It just doesn't make sense. It's not a premium position. So, you know, the defensive line, you may think, yeah, they're talented. And they have some guys that you think are good out there. The reality is, last year, they ranked 31st in pass rush win rate. You know, this is a very good run-stopping defensive line. Kwity Paye's great stopping the run. He showed flashes in pass rush. Just didn't put it all together yet. Buckner's great at both. Stewart isn't really a pass rusher. He's he's average. He's not a great pass rusher. He's more of a brick wall. You go by him, he's putting you down. He's hard. He's a hard man to move. He's great in the run game. You did sign Samson Ebukam. You know, they did draft Titus Leo. He's a 6th-round guy out of a smaller school. I mean, who else did they sign? They drafted that Atamuai guy. I think he's a phenomenal defensive tackle. He's electric. I think he's going to be very fun. But at the end of the day, it didn't perform last year. Hopefully it takes a step up. Hopefully it does, because Gus Bradley doesn't blitz a lot. He doesn't call out a man. He really calls out his own. And he relies on the front four to get the pressure. And I don't think the Colts have that. I don't know if they do. His defense is not as good as we think. It's rough, honestly. I like Darius Leonard, Shaquille Leonard. I still screw it up. I like the safeties. I like Nick Cross. I like Julian Blackburn and Ronnie Thomas. There's some pretty good safeties there that you got. You drafted Jalen Jones, who I think actually might be the replacement for Kenny Moore one day after this year. I could see it. It's just this defense is not as good as we think. You know, the cornerbacks, like I've already mentioned, I think we need a veteran in there. Branson, Rush, they're young. Yeah, you do have Isaiah Rodgers. He covered a lot of twos last year. And he was very good at covering twos. But we've never really seen him cover ones. A lot. And I don't think he is going to be the number one corner to cover those ones. I think he's a great number 2. Number 1 is a different story. Kenny Moore, you have in the slot. He's inconsistent. You don't know when he's going to have a good or bad game or frickin' season at that. It's just, man. And an honorable mention, it's just the defense is not going to be that good. I think maybe it could be top 15, top 20. If that. I don't know. But an honorable mention that I have here is the offensive line. Now, you may be wondering why I didn't have them included in the top 3 here when it was pretty bad last year. And maybe I should have considered on the top 3 because we're paying them so much. The highest paid offensive line of football, yet one of the worst. Last year, anyways. Although, I think Bernhard Raimann is going to have a big year. And I think Braden Smith is going to stay healthy and have a good year. I think our tackles are good. You have Quentin Nelson there. Ryan Kelly's inconsistent. Hopefully, Emilio Okiore, the guard from Bama. Hopefully, we get someone there. I don't want Will Fries there. I don't want Danny Pinter there. Please. But when you have a quarterback like Anthony Richardson, it makes the job on the offensive line a lot easier in some ways. He's young, so he may run around a lot. Maybe will be a little bit unpredictable. So in that aspect, it may make it a little more difficult. But he, actually, when you watch the film, besides him just running, he has a pocket presence. He knows what he's doing in that pocket, where he's moving next. He's very good in the pocket. Pocket presence, moving up, stepping up. He's very good with that. But it also helps when he's that fast, he's that athletic, because those guys have to stay disciplined up front that are, and the offensive line benefits from that. So, I want you guys to let me know what you think. Do you think the Colts aren't going to be that good this year? I don't think so. It's definitely a rebuilding year. Again, it's definitely another year where you're probably going to see a lot of bumps, a lot of roadblocks, a lot of painful bumps. But, that's what's going to happen when you have a young quarterback like this who barely played in college. You have a brand new head coach. There's a lot that needs to happen for this team to be a good playoff team, or be a good team. So, I don't think they're going to be better than you think. They're probably going to be worse than you think. So, I want you guys to let me know what you think about this. Do you think the Colts are that bad, that good? Where do you see the Colts? Do you think they make the playoffs? I don't think so. I don't see it, but I want you guys to let me know what you think. Thank you for tuning into the JDW Sports Talk Show, where fans welcome. If you enjoy this video, make sure to like, subscribe, with the post notification bell on so you don't miss any future videos. This is JDW Sports Talk Show, signing off.